Meow.
Pet Trustee sponsors Let's Talk About Animals, hosted by Jewel.
Hello, and today we are very excited. We're talking about horses, more than a hobby. And with us we have Mary Rivas. Mary, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very
It's so
much.
great to have you. I know that you've been in this for a long time. You're now a professional horse trainer and a rider as well. So tell us how you got started in this profession, or in the career, or in the hobby.
Well, my mom took me to the stable at 6 years old, and that was it.
Oh, really?
I rode as a junior rider growing up. I rode throughout college, and then I was offered some professional rides, and from there, 15 years later.
Ah. So you did this in college. Did they actually have any competitions in college, or?
I rode as a professional in college, so I could not ride for the team, but I went to school locally. So.
So that's really good. So tell me then, from the transition, how did you transition actually into becoming a real professional?
Studying under some great riders, some Olympic riders.
Who were they?
I rode with Federico Sterle, Nona Garson, Peter Leone. Those three are the three of the household names in New York. And just basically watching people teach, just quietly observing the sport.
Well, is this the same Federico that is over at Wolfers?
Yes.
Ah, well, he's like an Olympic champion, I know, from Spain. And I think we're having him on the show coming up very soon. So he should be an interesting interview as well.
Yeah, he's a fantastic horseman.
He is. So, well, tell me, I know that earlier you were telling me a little bit about how important it is to be on all aspects of the business, not just to be there for the show day and whatever. And I know that you work with children, is that right, as well as adults, training them?
Yes, I teach children from age 4 to adults in their 60s or 70s even.
Okay, so you were telling me about the tips that you have for these.
Well, I think that nowadays there's facilities where the grooms do everything for the riders. They take care of the horses. And 15 or 20 years ago, that wasn't so available. And riders had to care for their own horses every day. And I think that that is still an important part of being an athlete, is to do the dirty work. You know, come take care of the horse.
Bring your shovel.
do it all, because the more you do with horses, the more success you have.
Okay.
The closer
I think
to the
that's part of the bonding process too, isn't it?
Yes.
I think that there's, I think the communication with horses is like all part of that grooming, the rubbing, and whatever. I know that interaction has so much to do with any animal.
Absolutely.
But I think horses as well. One of the princesses, and I can't think of which one she was, but this was one of the English princesses. I admired her so much because they showed a clip of her one time, and it was on television. And they showed her with a shovel, you know, shoveling horse poop and whatever. And she said, you really don't deserve to ride horses unless you're willing to get in there and show the horses that you really care for them.
And they feel that, like any animal, they feel your presence in every form. On top of them, on the ground, there's two relationships.
Tell us about the difference between the on-the-ground relationship and the riding relationship.
I think on the ground, they feel that they make you calm. They feel that you're taking care of them, and then they take care of you when you're on top, when you're riding them. In the sport, in the show ring, or in whatever level of performance.
So how do you establish a relationship when you're meeting a horse for the first time? Tell us how you establish that. What do you do first when you meet a horse?
I go right up to them and say hello.
Do you?
And pat them on the neck.
Okay.
And you look into the horse's eyes.
That's what I do. I do that instinctively, but that's one of the beauties of what I do now is getting to meet all these wonderful horses and dogs and cats and all kinds of animals. But horses, I don't know, there's something that's almost, well, of all animals really, I think they're all telepathic. But
Yes.
horses are so intelligent and we have done so much for our country and are so really a unique thing. And though I've never personally owned one, I always wanted to. But my mom always said, she said, "Oh, Jewel, horses, they're dangerous on both ends and uncomfortable in the middle." So I didn't get to have a horse, but I always wanted one. So you were lucky. Your mom got you out there at 6 years of age.
Yes.
Were you afraid that first time?
Actually, no. I started at 6, and I had a terrible accident 3 weeks later.
Oh, gosh.
I fell. I had a concussion. I was in the hospital for weeks. I wasn't allowed to do anything activity-wise for a year. And I asked my mother to take me every Monday to the stable to watch horses go and watch kids ride.
Wow.
And I waited 1 year until I could take another lesson.
Oh, well, and you fell off a horse?
A pony.
Oh, my goodness. But you were already hooked. You were already hooked. How about that?
Yeah.
I think that's an important lesson in life. Being able to get back on. You know, and a lot of us, when we fail that first time, we take that first fall, we
Right.
don't ever try anything again because we think we just can't do it, you know? But that inspiration, that took a real lot of courage. And I know for a full year you sat and watched the other children riding. Aw, that must have been really sad.
Yeah.
So what do you teach? How do you teach the children? You know, I think that in animals, I think one of the things we know is that we train the humans as well as the dogs, but primarily we train the humans in interacting and training dogs. When you're working with humans, are you actually training the humans? Are you training the horses or a combination?
I primarily try to only work with good horses, patient horses, horses that don't spook. So therefore, you basically have to work with the human or the child, and it's just about positive thoughts and teaching the individual you're teaching to believe in themselves. And everybody works at their own pace. So you get to know your student, and then you find how to support them.
That's great. That's one of the things as an educator, former educator, we had to learn to discipline every child differently.
Yes.
And I'm sure that's true of horses and children and adults too. We have to learn what their hot buttons are and how they learn and then proceed accordingly. So actually every session, I imagine, is customized to that particular child. We've got a clip that I would love to share. If it's okay, can we share that? It's a beautiful clip of Mary riding actually in the field, and this is with your favorite horse. I think the horse's name is?
This horse is Orion, and this is during the Winter Equestrian Festival in Palm Beach, Florida.
Okay, so here we go.
There's 1988 Orion. Orion is owned and written by Mary Rivas.
Spectacular, absolutely spectacular. Orion, now how long did it take you to train Orion to jump all those different
Orion and I were together for 4 years,
Okay.
and he was the first horse that really took me to another level of show jumping.
Okay.
So he came with a little bit more knowledge than I had, and that's the best way to learn when you're anytime you're moving up in riding.
Okay.
So that was a show jumper that was 10 years old at the time, and I had him till he was 14, and now he's moved on to teach other aspiring riders.
Oh, really? So does it hurt when a horse leaves you? I know that you get attached to them.
Certain horses, particular horses, absolutely. It's always sad to see a horse go. You want to know that it's going to go to a proper home, and then it's going to be loved the way you loved it. And others, it's very hard to say goodbye to. He was one of them.
Do you own your horses?
Yes, I do.
Now, how many horses do you own, Mary?
At the moment, I own 3 horses.
3 horses.
Yes.
Now, I noticed that was in Palm Beach. So you transport those horses?
Yes, they go on a commercial trailer
Okay.
all the way from New York to Florida. They go direct. It takes them about 20 hours.
Oof.
And then they recuperate for a day or two, and then we right to work, start training and preparing for the winter circuit.
Oh, and so you stay. You're a snowbird, actually. You come and go, and you stay. Oh, poor baby. So you stay in Florida for a few months.
Yes.
But ordinarily, you live here in Sag Harbor.
Yes, that's correct.
Right. So that's phenomenal. And so now, I know that you mentioned that you're concerned about horses, and I know that led you into something that's one of my favorite subjects, which is animal rescue. And you came up, tell us about how you got the idea to start doing events for animal rescue.
Well, 3 summers ago, a very good friend of mine, another quite accomplished rider named Pamela Polk, and I thought, you know, we're here for the month of August in the Hamptons. All of our friends come for the Hampton Classic Horse Show, show jumpers from California, Europe, all over the world. Let's throw a big party and see if we can raise money and find an avenue to give to the horses, whether it's handicapped horses, police horses, show jumpers that have been retired. We didn't care where the money went, as long as it went to a horse somewhere. So that's what we did. We started our first party, like I said, 3 years ago, and it was for the ASPCA. And then last year, we did it again, and Kelly Rippett is the most incredible person you've ever met. She came and danced all night and enjoyed the party and helped raise money, and we had a polo player auction. Then this year we did it for Amaryllis because we wanted to find something a little bit closer to home that that didn't have any financing basically. So this year we raised the same money for Amaryllis
And it
Rescue.
was a spectacular event.
Thank
a
you.
spectacular event, and we're going to be showing that video today. So we'll put that in and add that video, and so that was a fabulous, fabulous event. Now, how did you get your mailing list together? I know it took so much organization. The tents were beautiful. It was a flawless, flawless evening.
Thank you. That event really was a spin-off of the first 2 years. Basically, again, we know that there's about 200 riders that are going to arrive on Sunday before the Tuesday of the show jumping that happens during the week of the Hampton Classic. So the first 2 years were such a great success that basically with Facebook, emailing, and word of mouth, we have that staple of guests. What the difficult part is raising the money to create the event. That's always hard. And with the economy the way it is, people want to contribute, but they can't always contribute. So this year it was like a patchwork quilt. We sold pieces of the party in order to have it. We had wonderful vendors that we have used for 3 years, and they were willing to be paid after